My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. I want to document, first of all, this is the light activity. This is the environment where you're recognizing surveillance is underway. Regarding surveillance that's underway by the government, and the entity that's engaging in surveillance by the government is one that is doing so where the government is maintaining vicarious presence, and that's where the people of the state reside. And the people of the state reside in facilitating venues where the public entity is maintaining vicarious criminal presence, meaning stalking you by living at the facilitating venue under the malicious guise of being a free citizen, an individual exercising the benefits under the Constitution. This is the entity, the malicious pattern of conduct, and you're looking at this environment. This is the moment that I walk on this driveway area. The entity starts simultaneously amplifying plane activity. The plane activity that I captured on video at 6th Street at the 10 freeway. Where the entity is hovering like they are over the Stater Brothers parking lot, that plane activity. The entity is engaged in surveillance through the people of the state who are molesting with impossible light, stalking, gang stalking, north and south of Euclid Avenue. They're doing so while they are keeping me under surveillance, committing sexual assault and battery as an entity, engaging in what is criminal summoning, doing so while they are engaging in that pattern of conduct on behalf of the Ontario Police, who have been engaged in stalking all night long. Okay, license plate 9 Nancy Wendy Charlie 567, and they're doing so under the fake moon. All right, this is the entity that's engaged in stalking, very specific stalking, and they're doing so while I'm documenting the license plate. I want you to see this. This is 1 shadow, 2 shadows, 3 shadows, and here's the 4th one, and that's the stalker that's engaging what is conduct on behalf of the Ontario Police. Doing so in a vehicle that doesn't have the police vehicle logo is the malice of that pattern of conduct, and that's literally psychopathic pacing. Under the fake moon, where the entity is stalking by the City of Ontario, maintaining plane activity. And this is exactly what I'm documenting. This is impossible light activity. While it is cascading all about the building, this is 105 East 5th Street. This is the pattern of conduct. And this is the means of stalking in the path, pacing on this street to make a U-turn, to stop and be engaging in surveillance relevant position to me. That's the significance of stopping at the traffic lights. It's a means of engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is at 5th Street. This is P.O.C, and this is the entity that is conspiring murder, gang stalking, knows exactly who I am, and also keeps my vagina under surveillance, engages in what is criminal summoning, and does so while they also engage in what is theft of personal property. They engage in criminal defamation. They do so while they are stealing property. They do so while they are engaging in gang conduct together. This is the entity that's engaging in tag team stalking with light in my path. All right, let's hear the Ontario Police stalking by helicopter. I documented this entity engaging in criminal summoning right here. This is 1258 Euclid Avenue. They are on video in 2022, engaging in what is an elaborate scene while the entity is stalking by helicopter, fake sun. This is the nighttime version of it, replete with the fake moon, by the way. But this is the venue right here where the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. It's on, it's already published regarding the pattern of conduct that's underway while I'm walking through the City of Ontario that is engaging in criminal surveillance, okay? This is P.O.C. This is 5th Street in Euclid, where on the roads and the highways, the City of Ontario is maintaining criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. And this is the same entity that is going to be prosecuted with regard to all of their information. Terrorists don't have any privacy, and the government doesn't maintain any privacy while gang stalking through the people. This is mental illness, by the way. This is P.O.C. This is the malice. And this is showing the malice of the entity that is indeed obsessed with me and stalking and has been doing so for years. And I want to be clear, this same entity goes by the name of Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer. There is no difference with regard to that pattern of conduct. This is the P.O.C. and the entities engaging in this while they are keeping the evidence of them gang stalking under surveillance. Okay? And the entities engaging in that with a level of malice, which is the point of bringing that up. This is the pattern of conduct. And you're able to see the stalker for who they are. All right, the entity's controlling the traffic lights. This is stalking in the path. This is the entity that goes into the bathroom to be next to you while you're disrobed, while you are engaging in what is private activity that is public information amongst the sex offenders who are the people of the state. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is again 5th Street and Euclid. Coming down this dead-end street, that's what she did to commit sexual assault and battery, and she is the entity coming down this dead-end street to engage in pacing and doing so to stalk at the light. In concert with all these demons whose license plate I'm documenting addresses are, with regard to exposing the entity has sacrificed. There is no privacy amongst the government engaging in criminal activity, and the government is acting via the people. And they will be prosecuted in everything like such what Starbucks has committed. Claiming that you're private property while you're gang stalking, they're going to prison. All right, that's the malice of the system. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:11 a.m. License plate 63846, married to sexual assault and battery. License plate, this is patrolling at 6th Street in Euclid. Loma Linda University is gang stalking, 8 Robert 60502. And license 6 Sam Mary Larry 390, psychopathic pacing at 6th Street and Euclid Avenue under the fake moon, where the entity, the City of Ontario, is stalking me as I'm walking north of Euclid Avenue and engaging in the perpetual sex offense, which is every actor within that entity. As I am walking north up Euclid Avenue, the City of Ontario is sharing in that criminal act, with it, which is acting in furtherance of murder. This is a population that is stalking together. This is why the entity is also stalking very clearly using the plane activity that I documented. The entity is even stalking with the sound of plane activity, which is again relevant to what's not. It's not only it's asinine, it's idiotic, but it's a threat. You're going to analyze the idiocy under the law. Okay, license 8 Victor David Barry 547, sexual assault and battery. They're doing so at their facilitating venues. This is why my shadow is spread across their homes, so fanning out across the grass, impossible light activity, while the demons are indeed engaging in surveillance. They're doing so, the City of Ontario that's engaged in monitoring are a bunch of demons who are vagina monitors who know that they're being documented as I walk up and down any street and capture the information on the outside of their homes, on the outside of their vehicles, where they will be prosecuted and identified as the terrorists that they are on behalf of the state of California. And while they are aware of that, they are up at 4 and 5 in the morning when they're fearful that I'm going to get their information. And I am. And I'm also going to get the fact that the City of Ontario is engaged in criminal surveillance with knowledge and doing so with the intent to commit criminal summoning while they're engaged in gang stalking, and also at the same time don't want to be documented, or think that they will gang stalk you more because they don't want to be documented. That is the mind of a predator, the mind of a terrorist, the mind of a violent actor. That is the state of California, by the way. And this is why the Ontario police are being disbanded. P.O.C. That's impossible light activity. And that's psychopaths that are engaging in the malicious pattern of conduct with the state. The state that sounds sirens as I walk into the grocery store. The state that is pacing in the restrooms as I'm in that private space, where the entity is surrounding with the employees who are sharing in the perpetual sex offense with the venue Vons, which is a third party under the fake sun, at 8:43 a.m. and we are now in daylight savings time. They're engaging in what is gang stalking with minor children, what you're looking at, as opposed to a compassionate view of someone that is innocently and ignorantly and coincidentally engaging in the pattern of conduct that doesn't exist. The entity is engaging in this with regard to the maintenance of a supernatural environment, and that is removing the unreasonable position that you are in that pattern, engaging in that pattern without knowledge. Okay, this is P.O.C. Light is on the ceiling. This light activity is coexisting. They're pacing in and out. This is mental illness. These are the demons that are engaged in vagina monitoring, including Victoria. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. Males and females equally predatory. 9AXR134 is engaging in the this is 7:43 a.m. standard time. We're now in daylight savings time, so it's 8:44 a.m. daylight savings time. The entity is keeping the fake sun as I'm documenting in Ontario, California. This is Upland at the entrance, and my evidence shows the fake sun over me at this same Vons, 81 West Foothill Boulevard in Upland, California, in the middle of the afternoon, and also the sunset. This is documentation of the sex offense committed by the violent sex offender. Their employees are monitoring. He's a psychopath. He's actually stalking while he walks into the parking lot under the fake sun. It's the same, but these employees, I'm going to prosecute Vons. Vons is a vagina monitor. So the entity is engaged in this, and there's no light that's going to be on the ceiling. It's manifesting in the shade. These are indeed demons, like I stated. Okay? You are engaging in stalking, and while you like to do so as a stranger, keeping your back to people like no one's ever going to suspect that, you're going to be committed with that same malicious conduct, and this is what the company Vons is engaging in. Okay, you have Victoria and the rest of these demons engaged in pacing around. The entities engaged in targeting when they know that you're paying with EBT, the exclusive ability to buy certain food, and then not stocking that food up. The entity typically Vons maintaining, and good business practices is you have the supply of foods ready and ready for customers to purchase. This is a method of targeting, which I've documented. This is occurring under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:45 a.m. All right, Vons, which is located at 81 West Foothill in Upland, California, is in the specific environment where criminal surveillance is underway. So Vons is a third party. Vons is engaged in the perpetual sex offense. Vons is engaged in the ongoing unabated program of psychological torture. VONS is engaged in what is systematic harassment in the shoes of the state. VONS is not a private party. It's not a private property. They're not engaged in private, any constitutionally protected private speech, in other words, or private conduct with regard to a private business, in other words. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct while I stand at the entrance at what's 8:51 right now, the ongoing shocking light activity. And the proof of that is the video that I just captured, and the light is on the ceiling and on the wall, and outside you're seeing shade, and then outside of that you're looking at the fake sun. That's the venue where the entities engaged in molestation, psychological torture, sexual assault and battery with impossible light, while they know who you are and they're targeting you as well. And they're engaged in federal stalking, license 9AXR134. All right, this is P.O.C. and VONS is being federally prosecuted. And I am also documenting, as you are aware, the identification of the people of the state. Okay, they're engaged in this P.O.C. with regard to knowledge about who I am. As I go into the city of Upland, that pattern of conduct does not stop. The people of the state are engaging in the identical pattern of conduct in Upland, California. Upland, California is already documented as a gang stalker, a facilitating venue. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. 9 Victor Bob Sam 378. This is the pattern of conduct. I'm capturing the environment inside of the VONS. So while that light activity is underway, the demon possessed, they just stand around. They're stalking, okay? But it's their role to stand around. Nothing's happening, nothing to see. Nobody's noticing anything. It's not real if the gang members don't acknowledge it, okay? In the same regard, you are mentally ill if the gang members team up and state that. That's how that groupthink conduct works. That's how that malicious system operates. And it's psychotic. It's psychopathic conduct that is shared by demons, okay? The entities engaging in this conduct, and that's the rationale behind how this corrupt entity operates. That's going to be used to prosecute them as a malicious population that's engaging in domestic terrorism. That's the entity that's engaged in that, for example, on video, the Ontario police flying in circles over me at the Ontario Town Square. And the entities engaging in that POC, while the three amigas that are these three losers, these gang stalking homosexual sex offenders, are stalking me, and doing so by sitting at the bench where these demons are stalking me every night, and doing so with regard to wanting attention from me, wanting to be where I am, just like they are obsessed with my vagina. Those are the three that are over there, and the entities engaging in gang stalking in the path as though nothing is happening. Nobody hears a helicopter activity. Nobody's witnessing. Why are they flying in circles over there? And the entities engaging in this as a pattern everywhere that I'm going as well. But this is what you're going to pay attention to. You're going to analyze the malice of psychopaths who are targeting someone. And this is the entity that does so, which is necessarily corrupt, because while they disregard what is the obvious engagement in the pattern of conduct, because all I've done is honed in on it and show you how it's not hidden at all. It's not an illusion. You're not imagining it at all. They all are turning their heads, acting like it's not happening, while they are fully engaging in it together in concert with one another. That is the psychopathic threat that are the people of the state. Okay, and these are demons that are hunting me down as I'm walking from Ontario to Upland, stalking me every step of the way, every single step into the bathroom of the VONS at 81 West Foothill in Upland, California, replete with what is criminal summoning by the city of Upland as I walk into that bathroom. And I documented all of these sex offenders before reaching that toilet that was under surveillance that I used. This is the entity that's engaging that in Victoria is included. Victoria is a cross-eyed midget. She was gang stalking me with regard to the ringing me up as I'm making a purchase, as also the targeted individual. Victoria is a psychopath. Victoria is engaging in the sex offense on behalf of VONS. She's a third-party sex offending gang stalker that's also vicariously acting with the state and the city of Ontario that's sounding sirens while she's already in the bathroom lying in wait to engage in the psychotic behavior of stalking as I walk out. This is the entity that's engaging in that conduct, and this is also why gang stalking is not based on chronology, because you're there before the target individual. That's by design. In order for them to gang stalk you, to maintain crossing your path, they are surrounding you. That's a threat. And it's also psychotic. This is the POC. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct under the fake sun. We are now in daylight savings time. You're always mindful, okay? Do not get lost in the trees because I'm maintaining the pattern of conduct, the documentation on a day-to-day basis. This is prosecuting the Los Angeles Police Department. This is exposing and serving to prosecute Karen Bass. The entities that's engaging in this pattern of conduct has done so outside of San Bernardino County, where the entity kept the fake sun from sunrise until sunset at my apartment and at my office at Alvarado Gardens, where I was hired by third-party speaker companies in order to conspire my murder, where I was being targeted by the Los Angeles Police Department, the city of LA, the people of the state, including the LAPD that utilized helicopter over my apartment, over my office, under that fake sun that remained all day long. Do not forget about that. This evidence remains on, it's salient evidence that remains relevant regardless of what it is that I'm focusing on. I give example after example as to how you're going to prosecute a malicious government system. License plate UV772, handicap, sexual assault and battery. License 7ATF800. That's the license plate, that's sexual assault and battery. They're pacing in the parking lot. Everything is taken on that context when you're looking at the illusions that the demons need you to be convinced by when they are wanting to appear as one thing, normal, driving through the parking lot. No, you're stalking and you're pacing like a psychopath under a fake sun that will remain here, as I've already documented, well into the afternoon, even setting here, while you're looking at what is pacing for a population to engage in the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over around that targeted individual. And they're doing it as state action. It's group conduct. That is all state action. This is P.O.C. This is documentation of the vagina monitor that is Vaughn's, okay? All you're doing is exchanging the identification, just like demon possession. It's the same spirit of Satan, a different vessel, a different name, all right? With regard to the state action, the public entity that's gang stalking, it is a company, and you're replacing a company name. This is why Stater Brothers is sharing the exact same pattern of conduct as Vaughn's. That's why they have, and with supernatural, meaning there are no coincidences here, and you will be prosecuted, while the city share the same pattern of conduct, which is supernatural as well, meaning it is impossible for that to be a coincidence. It's impossible for it to happen one time, i.e. the sun remaining over the library at OVITT Family Community Library from 10 to 5 p.m., from 7 to 6 p.m., from 10 to 1 p.m. The entity maintaining that environment for the duration of the day, replete with what is also impossible light activity and the circus light environment inside of these facilitating venues that are all maintaining a government surveillance system which is underway in the United States of America. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct while they're keeping this evidence under surveillance, and that is also informing how companies are going to be prosecuted, meaning how extensive damages are going to be, and they are designed to ruin that company that is a terrorist. All right? Federal prosecution is to result in the people of the state being identified on the record as domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They're gang members. And gang members like the Ontario Police Department being disbanded, because that's what they are. They're gang members, and they're a threat to society, and they're a threat to an American citizen. And that American citizen is going to be treated with the dignity and the respect with regard to their human and constitutional rights. And if that is to shut down, disband, remove altogether, wipe out a bunch of gang members that have engaged in criminal activity, hiding behind police uniforms, so be it. That's exactly what's going to happen. Terrorism is entirely un-American, and terrorists will be removed and their threat being neutralized, period. Okay, this is an entity that's engaged in that. I'm in Upland, California, and I cannot control the circumstances which are proving that the city of Ontario is engaging in that pattern of conduct. The city of Ontario is the state of California. Any city where that P.O.C. is underway, that whole state's engaging in that P.O.C. And how is that? Okay, the entity's keeping the fake sun over me at one venue inside of that city. Where's the rest of the sunlight in Oakland, California, where Eric resides, but he's gang stalking me under the fake sun at the OVITT Family Community Library. But it's a sunny day in Oakland, California. Okay, that is by necessity speaking to more than one sun, which is impossible. It's supernatural. The state of California is a gang stalker. Okay, and the entity's doing it through any and everyone, and that's what Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks represent. An unlawful threat posed by that government. And this is equally threatening and malicious, while stalkers are monitoring your genitalia in bathrooms, and doing so in absurdly psychotic ways, such as pacing in and out of a bathroom, pacing all around you, maintaining noise, and doing so. 10315 Henry 4 is Coca-Cola gang stalking again. I got them at 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue. They are following, and that's a company being prosecuted for following, stalking, because of the environment that they're in. They are targeting me, and you are stalking from place to place. This is the entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I want to be clear. The entities engaging in this conduct while
vagina monitoring underway. So I want the entity that engages in these sex acts, these group sex acts of violence, they do so because they want you to know what type of monsters that they are. 9J, Larry Yolanda 480, gang stalking, sexual assault and battery. What the entity's doing at nightfall with impossible light activity under the guise of being headlights is what they're doing during the day under the fake sun, under the guise of it being sunlight. This is a sex offense committed by a population. That population includes businesses and includes government bodies. Okay, so the entity's engaging in this P.O.C. and inside of the restroom, where on Foothill Boulevard, just to give you an example, everybody on Foothill Boulevard is keeping my vagina under surveillance, utilizing communication devices, monitoring me, and stalking together, including San Antonio Regional Hospital, license 8 Edward Barry Mary 499, under the fake sun. The entity's engaging in what is this pattern of conduct, while a sex offender is engaging what is maintaining close presence, and this is, again, where I'm documenting this pattern of conduct in the private space of the Vaughn's restroom. So inside of the entity that's engaged in monitoring is doing so while they're stalking with activity. And they are stalking with activity by maintaining presence in the path in order that they can maintain what is being around you, stalking you, monitoring you also with their devices, and monitoring you while those are surrounding where you're located, because they're doing so while they are in the bathroom stalking you, which is a threat, and while they're surrounding the bathroom stalking you. Relevant positioning. It's all the government that has no warrant. It does not exist to maintain any warrant or probable cause or legitimate interest regarding surveillance of your genitalia, and that's what the government is doing. That doesn't even exist. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct. Vaughn's doesn't have a right to maintain criminal surveillance. When I say that it is already a prosecution that's complete, that's exactly what I mean. But even further than that, Victoria, Vaughn's employees, and Vaughn's gang stalking third parties, the customers are going in violation of federal RICO laws to maintain criminal surveillance and also making a purchase in order to prove that they were present. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and the entity is engaging in what is amplifying audible activity at the moment that they are monitoring my vagina. So the sex offenders of Vaughn's. Vaughn's is a monster. Vaughn's is a sex offender, and this is what you need to know and identify as if you want to support sex offending terrorists like Vaughn's, because they are sharing in what is the pattern of conduct with a corrupt government that does not care about your human rights and your constitutional rights. And moreover, the people of the state who are the demons who are stalking are with impunity, entering into a bathroom to maintain surveillance, stalking a person, focusing on that one person together, including in the disgusting manner of just relieving yourself so that you can stalk that person. That's the sickness behind that. That's a level of obsession that is absurdly psychotic. These are demons that are engaging in that conduct, and they, again, surmise if they go in the bathroom and they make it stink, then they're not stalking you. That's literally the rationale behind these ignoramuses, these violent vagina monitoring sex offenders. And Vaughn's is engaged in amplified audible activity while they are waiting until my legs are spread apart, waiting until I'm engaged in what is relieving myself. And this is when the entity, demons that are intimately aware with every detail of where you're at, your position, what you're doing, and that's how they are engaging what is stalking. That is simultaneity of activity creation, entering and exiting the bathroom, and creating audible activity inside of the bathroom and amplifying noise, that ongoing terrorism inside of the bathroom. And they're doing that, Vaughn's is doing that, pursuant to what is my genitalia being in operation, if you will, inside of that bathroom. Okay, so Vaughn's is a sex offender that is obsessed with my vagina, with my anus, all right, engaging in what is activity creation while I'm engaged in relieving myself. And this is the reality of what Vaughn's is about. They're not engaged in what is making customized bakery goods. They're engaged in surveillance. Okay, they're not focused in on making sure that their inventory is stocked up, because if they're targeting someone, they will make sure that it remains empty regarding anything that target individual may have a tendency to purchase, anything that they've, while they're monitoring, that target individual likes, where that targeted individual tends to drift off to, what they anticipate that the target individual has purchased even elsewhere, because it's an entity that's stalking everywhere. So this is what the entity is engaged in. They're not about keeping their inventory stocked up. Whatever serves their criminal and malicious and psychotic purposes is what the entity does. And Vaughn's is engaged in criminal surveillance. That's what the purpose of Vaughn's grocery stores are for throughout these United States. That's why they're monitoring my anus in the bathroom. That's why Victoria and the employees are pacing in engineer light outside of the bathroom. That's why they're engaged in what is the pattern of conduct under a fake sun and abandoning the city of Ontario. There is one sun. This is showing the illusion, while a population is shown to be highly unintelligent And their lack of intelligence is a threat to you, because what it proves is this secrecy has been maintained through beast-like murders. They're bloodthirsty sex offenders who kidnap, defame, threaten, and murder people in order to maintain what it is that they're doing, this system. 03761 Uncle 3, because there's nothing intelligent about it at all. At all. Nothing at all. They are entirely engaging in what is stalking and monitoring, telling all of their secrets regarding how this has been executed, and doing so while they are still obsessively stalking because they are mentally ill. They cannot stop their psychotic and violent impulses, even upon being identified. That is, again, the entity that gets rid of that problem by murdering people. And that's not happening here. So a lot of people are going to federal prison. A lot of people are going to be subject to what are commitments. It's going to be on their record regarding their severe mental instability, the way in which they were targeting with the government, engaging in what is domestic terrorism, which is hereby established in the United States as a matter of law, as a matter of fact. EM74W17, that's a paper plate on a white Corvette, I believe. This is P.O.C. So I just want to make sure that it's clear. The sex offender that is Vons, it's not anything distinct. This is not the first time I documented that, and it's also not new. This is what the entity is engaging in while they're stalking in the bathroom at OVITT Family Community Library, while they're stalking in the bathroom as an entity at Stater Brothers, while they're stalking everywhere that I'm going. The entity that is gang stalking is a violent sex offender. That's because these are the demon possessed. These are demonic spirits that are obsessed with the human body, the body that's made in the image of God, engaging in these perverted means of monitoring you. They're not human, and it's abnormal. It's going beyond what is surveillancing somebody and following them around. You're talking about what is monitoring your body, monitoring your thoughts, monitoring the affect of what you're subject to. These are demons that are engaging in that, and it is inhumane. And Governor Newsom is fully engaged in and has been profiting and is facilitating. He is a terrorist leader facilitating and funding terrorism. And it's the same with regard to the prosecution, the exposure of gang stalkers who are leaders of this system. That is the mayor. That is the so-called police chief. That's a so-called fire chief. That's a so-called manager at a store. That's a so-called company owner, where that company is engaged in terrorism in that state, which is, for example, Amazon Prime. Okay, in every county where I'm going, Amazon Prime engaging in targeting, specifically targeting. In doing so with the entity that's keeping the evidence under surveillance, and then that further inspires those terrorists to engage in more documentation, and to engage in more targeting. And I document that. And terrorists like Amazon Prime are going to regret it, especially when it's public information, because the demons actually don't mind engaging in that. They don't have any conscience. You're dealing with evil. Evil that likes to make money off of wicked conduct, okay? However, they will care when you know about it. That's what they care about. They care about losing money, and they care about what you think about them, the reputation, what's being said about them. And I am going to accomplish both. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:08 a.m. and I am in the city of Upland, where I remain subject to the pattern of conduct, and this is serving for disbanding the Ontario Police Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the entity that's engaging in targeting me when I'm in Chino, California, when I'm in Fontana, California. What is in the sky space that's directly over me when I'm in these different locations, when I'm going from hotel to hotel in 2024 after being forced to resign from my job because I'm being gang stalked at work. And a never before contemplated basis for recovery, terrorism on the job. And I'm going to recover for it. And the LAPD, the city of Los Angeles, the state of California, the U.S. government, gang stalking me at work. And then the entity, as I'm living in, traveling from hotel to hotel, the entity's keeping the fake sun at every Marriott Bonvoy. Right? This is the entity that's keeping the fake sun over me while I'm at Economy Inn in Ontario, while I'm at the La Quinta Inn in Hesperia, while I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that. All you're doing is I'm helping you to be mindful of standard time and daylight savings time, only for purposes of showing you how it is operating within the illusion. The sun will never be over my hotel room at 7:53 a.m. and also simultaneously in alignment to me, aiming any sunlight inside of Vons or touching anything over here in Upland, California at the Vons at 81 West Foothill in Upland, California. After remaining for the duration of the day, not abandoning C Street through F Street on Euclid Avenue. It's not coexisting. Neither are the natural environment. Neither circumstance. This is an entity that's engaging in that state-to-state documentation, speaking to what this country is engaging in. because there is no way that the sun is in Idaho when I'm showing you what they're doing here in California and juxtaposing that with what I was documenting in 2024 in Nevada. And those are two governors that are fully aware. They're not accidentally engaging. I'm not exposing something that nobody knows is happening. While the entity also was engaged in kidnapping me, accusing me I've never been a criminal. Okay, I am a trained legal practitioner, okay, an attorney, and I'm being targeted in ways in which even after I get the qualifications, then the people of the state don't want to hire me. And if they hire me, it's only to harass and terrorize me. This is what Speaker Companies is engaging in on behalf of the state. That's what I'm subject to while I'm practicing law. Where? In downtown Los Angeles, by the way. LAPD. Kicking off the documentation that is the P.O.C. today. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, there is no coincidence. They know exactly who I am. And this entity foolishly decided to target me. And it is the prosecution of that U.S. government. That's how I have the evidence from city to city, even state to state. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:11 a.m. And the entity kept the fake moon over me, which is what you'll see as I'm walking on Euclid Avenue, north on Euclid Avenue. And the fake moon is over me. The fake sun is over me on Euclid Avenue and Foothill right now, where the entity, it's 9:11 a.m. My documentation shows Jay Sandoval gang stalking me at 5370 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario at F Street in Euclid, where that fake sun never exceeds Bethel congregation. It's still remaining over me there, but it's right here over me at Foothill and Euclid Avenue. All right. And this is the entity before I documented that damning evidence and the gang members of the Ontario police who are going to federal prison. This is the entity that's engaged in this pattern of conduct before I documented the entity keeping the fake sun between C Street and F Street on Euclid Avenue, where I remain, sleeping at that bus stop, then going to the library, going to the ARCO to use the internet, and then exiting the library in the evening, where the entity kept the fake sun all day long. They're the idiots. They're the baboons that gave me that evidence. No one forgot it either. No one forgot it. No one forgot what C. Gerber is sitting under at 10:04 a.m. on March 3rd, 2026, and it's still there after 5 p.m. So what is this over me before 10 a.m., 10:04 a.m.? All right, I just showed you the other day the fake sun over me at the Upland Public Library at the same exact time. And also while it is remaining at the Ontario City Hall, that Ontario Civic Center. All right, this is the entity's engagement in a pattern of conduct that is implausible. Nobody is normal. Nobody is innocent. Nobody is ignorant. Nobody's even a persuasive actor. And this is speaking for those that are in positions that they're going to be removed from. And it's going to be public knowledge as a matter of what is not only justice, but as a matter of what is national security. You need to know what the mayor and the city is engaged in. You need to know what the people of the state in that city and that county are engaged in. You need to know those that are being removed for terrorism. You need to be aware of the ways in which terrorism is executed in the city, in the state. You need to know all of that, and it's all going to be public information. The public entity maintains no privacy, and there is no law that will serve to protect a government that's targeting American citizens. To the contrary, every detail of that unlawful threat is going to be spilled out for the benefit, for the protection of the public. And that's what you have when Vaughn's grocery store is gang stalking me. Okay? This is the purpose of all the businesses in the state of California. The entity is obsessed and consumed with surveillance. That's actually the focus. It's not even about their jobs. They work around, they do whatever they need to do to maintain surveillance. That's the federal RICO case against the U.S. government. It is currently 9:14 a.m. and this is P.O.C. It is, by the way, Monday, March 9th, 2026.